Welcome once again to the Instructor's Compass. This is your online instructor, Sir Noy Gonzaga Jr., a licensed professional teacher and a registered nurse, holding more than a decade of experience in teaching several areas of education, including communication, philosophy, history, general sciences, social sciences, language, literature, and nursing professional courses. This moment, we will be dealing with the topic Ethical Authorities Explained. Again, our topic for this moment is Ethical Authorities Explained. Now, what is ethical authority? Well, these are the bases of ethics, and not just mere bases, but established and respected bases of ethics. Most often, these are physical and tangible bases of ethical norms in our society. There can be many ethical authorities that we can name, but there are only two that we will study this very moment. And these two will always stand out and make the difference. Again, I am not trying to say that the ethical authorities are narrowed down to two. What I'm trying to say is, we will just choose two of the greatest ethical authorities of all times. The first ethical authority is the law. So, laws in our countries are stratified according to the hierarchy and purposes that they may serve. Now let me identify some laws in our country. You have the Philippine Constitution, the highest law and the most supreme of all the laws in the Philippines, to which all laws and entities are subjected. Then we have the Republic Acts, executive orders, presidential decrees, and institutional laws and mandates. These laws give order to the community, and it is also the legal ethical authority in the society. So it is very clear that the legal foundation of ethics, or the legal source of ethics, is none other than the existing laws in our country. The second authority is the church, otherwise known as religion. Religion appeals more to the character and attitude of the person and is shaping the well-being of that person. Thus, this is more of the construction of the moral self of the person rather than the legalities that he may encounter. Religious affiliations and teachings directly initiate moral ethics. It is then widely accepted that morality is equivalent or synonymous to religious conceptualization. Now, if you combine church and laws, that is the legal and moral authorities in the ethical practices and conceptualization of man. Needless to say, that these two entities are actually the one shaping the ethical foundation of humanity. Now, in situations where legal and moral ethics are agreeing, it becomes an almost perfect or acceptable action. However, there are instances that one act is moral, but the other is illegal. So it is ethically moral, but legally unethical. An example of this is the law on mendicancy in Bacolod City. There is a city ordinance not to give to the street children or not to entertain beggars, for doing so will just inspire them to beg more and become more astray. Thus, imbibing this principle will lead to be legally correct and morally questionable, as helping the needy is always a moral act. Now let us jump to the other side. Some things may be legal, but it is immoral. Thus, it is considered ethically legal, but unethically moral. A good example of this is euthanasia, in states or places with legal provisions of mercy killings in the medical and state practice. A dying person wanting not to suffer anymore in this situation can sign an informed consent and take a little dose to end his or her life. That makes it legal in places with existing laws, but it will never be moral, as the Bible is always clear that only God can permit and take away lives. Thus, these are the importance of knowing the authorities in our practice and emulations of ethics. Sometimes it is not 100% of a justification. Oftentimes it boils down to the decision of the greater good or the most logical situational index that will define the best situation for humanity. Thus, church and laws are only two of the greatest authorities in ethical foundation. There are more, and you can do independent scrutiny about the other ethical authorities. In this video, I am just presenting to you that ethics is not a personal decision. It has authoritative basis. Another thing is, even if ethics have ethical authority, oftentimes it is not even easy to understand ethics, as some ethical authorities might end up in direct conflict. So in like manner, when the time comes that you have to make a decision, pray that the decision will end up morally and legally ethical. Again, pray that it will not be very hard, for it is morally and legally ethical. But when the time comes that there is an opposite view between the legality and the morality of the decision that you will make, then it's time to make the decision that we have founded and anchored on the greater good of humanity. Let me emphasize that one. When there is a conflict between the legal and the moral ethics, it is about time to make the greater good, which will lay foundation on the anchorage of humanity in his existence. That's none other than the greater good effect. Once again, this is Sir Noy Gonzaga, your online instructor, and this is the Instructor's Compass, an academic online educational tidbits brought to you by the Academia Gonzaga and the Jervin Eagle Viewpoints community. Once again, have a great day everyone, and I hope to see you again in the next Instructor's Compass. God bless!